Hello and welcome back to the Digressor. Before I continue, I want to address something in the previous episode, not the mini-sode, but the actual last episode. You might have noticed there was a couple background tracks that I included in the at key moments in the episode. I forgot to credit them in the episode. I put the credits in the show notes on Instagram and on the website and on Twitter and everywhere, but except for the actual episode itself. So I'm going to do that here and kind of retroactively credit them. The website is silvermansound.com, and on Twitter they're at silvermansound. I actually found them while looking for the royalty-free sites. I looked through a bunch. If you remember, I took like a month hiatus, and I wanted to come back with more professional sound. Like I mentioned that I realized, I can clean up the audio, and on top of that, I wanted to add some background music at some points throughout the episodes. And so I went looking. I wanted to find the right one. I didn't want to start picking music from all sites. I just want to find one that I really liked, and so I started looking. And I found Silverman Sound after a while, and I really liked the music. I wasn't just sampling music. I actually ended up listening to entire tracks. That was that good. And I read the about section, and he said, let me see. I'm looking the about section on the site. Basically, he was saying that he's been doing this since I think 2001, and here we go. It's loading. Shane Ivers is his name. He makes music for games, music for films, and music for anything else you care to think of. I also give away free music under a Creative Commons license. After a lifetime dedicated to it, I'm an accomplished musician, composer, and engineer who works to a very high standard. I'm available now to assist you in your projects and musical production needs. I am based in the United Kingdom and run my own fully fledged project studio. Thanks for looking, and I hope I can be of assistance. Shine on. And then it says to download some completely, absolutely 100% royalty-free music tracks, visit this page. All the music here is available under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 license. Just give credit, and you can use the song in any way you like. Did I mention it's all free? And then below that is this really long bio, and I read it. It's really good. It's really interesting. He basically makes his own music entirely, and it's all sorts of genres. There's classical, there's hip hop, there's pop and rock and piano and all sorts. And they're categorized by genre, and then there's scary and uplifting and stuff like that. And I haven't even listened to all of them, but when I found it, I bookmarked it thinking, okay, I'm not going to settle on it just because I like it, right offhand. I'm going to keep looking, and I bookmarked the site and kept looking, and after a few days, I was like, yep, no, this is the best. I'm going to use this one. I even made a post on Twitter about it and tagged him. I was like, I'm going to use this one. And if you hear background music in this episode, it's from Silverman Sound. In fact, there's background music right now, Silverman Sound. Now, for this episode, I will be talking about aliens and Area 51. Okay, so you hear that and you probably think, oh, this is a crazy one. No, I actually have a more grounded take on the whole alien thing, kind of. Right off the bat, I'm going to say I'm not entirely, I'm really interested in the whole concept of aliens and extraterrestrials and all of that, and I'll listen to podcasts where they talk about abductions and Betty and Barney Hill and all that. But I don't entirely know if I believe in aliens. Like, I do and I don't. Uh, it's an interesting topic, I'll say that. As for UFOs, I have seen a couple, and I'll actually include. I actually took a picture of one of them, and I sent it. I had a couple friends that were in the Air Force, and I sent them the picture. This was in, I think, like 2011, 2012, maybe 2013. I don't know. But I took a picture, and I sent it to a couple of my friends who were in the Air Force, and they sent it around to their Air Force buddies, and none of them could identify it. And they actually came back and were like, "Yeah, we're baffled. We don't know what this is." And so when I would tell people about it, they were like, "Oh, you're crazy. You're all, you're saying you got abducted. You saw aliens, and ah ha ha." Like, no, that's not what I said. I said I saw a UFO. Uh, UFO stands for unidentified flying object. I didn't know what it was. These Air Force people didn't know what it was. Therefore, it's an unidentified flying object. Doesn't necessarily mean it was aliens. It could have been. I don't know. All I know is what I saw, what I took a picture of, and what my friends in the Air Force and their friends said. So, yeah. That's kind of where Area 51 comes in. Oh yeah, I'm jumping through this really quick. So Area 51. I have a complicated theories on that. It is a classified base. I think it's an air base. There's a landing strip. So I think it's the longest runway in the world. For the longest time, the U.S. government denied it even existed, and you were called crazy for saying Area 51 existed. And then, like 10 years ago, I was curious. So I looked on Google Maps, and there it is, satellite view of Area 51. Oh, they added that in as a joke. You know how Google is. No, it's real. It's definitely real. And then a few years ago, I don't know if it was an accident or if they did it on purpose, but the U.S. government officially acknowledged Area 51. It wasn't like they made an announcement saying, "Oh yeah, that Air Force Base." I thought you meant another one. Nah, that one's real. It was kind of slipped in. There was like one of those Freedom of Information Act things, and it was casually mentioned in a document that was released through one of those requests, and then so the government officially acknowledged it, and they didn't recant it. They're like, "Oh, that was not." They just kind of went with it. So it's officially been declassified, and they acknowledge that it exists to the point where, I think they're getting less secretive about it. Like, I remember it used to be, if you got anywhere within sight of it, anywhere within the horizon of Area 51 or over the mountain range around it, you got shot. But within like a couple of years ago, there was the whole storm Area 51. They can't stop us all. And I kind of stepped back like, what are they going to do? Obviously, it became such a huge thing. Something was going to happen. And then the day came, and people were gathered outside the gates of Area 51, which 10, 20, 30 years ago, that never would have happened. They would have been shot on sight, like before they even reached it to the gate. And I watched the video. It was actually kind of wholesome. It was like the last wholesome moment we had before COVID hit. And it took place at Area 51. You see the guards kind of laughing and playing around with all the people that were there visiting. They're all laughing, having fun, and then the guards even joined in. And I was like, this never would have happened before. So I think that's kind of cool. I actually heard that since they basically gave up the secret of Area 51, it's a real thing. It's no longer secretive. They're actually, from what I heard, they're actually going to vacate it and move to a new location. And everyone's guessing it's Alaska, which obviously you're going to want to do that in Alaska because there's no one in Alaska. In fact, there's so few people in Alaska, you get paid to live in Alaska. I don't know if that's the reason why, but anyway, They haven't confirmed where they're moving it, obviously. They're not going to say, oh yeah, we're moving it to this spot on the map. I'm sure the next one will be underground, and there'll be very little evidence above ground, especially if it's in Alaska. And then you're going to hear the garbage truck. I have my window open because it's a nice night. And then what I heard is after they vacate it, they're going to open it up to the public, and it's going to be like a museum, which that would be really nice. Of course, they're not going to leave anything. If you're thinking about going to Area 51 and explore and be like, oh, I found proof of aliens, I think they're going to take every single thing. There's not going to be a single crumb of a muffin left at Area 51. So it'll be fun. It'll be like really fun and nice to like explore the facility and be like just know that this is, I'm actually at Area 51. But if you go there expecting to find something, you're not going to find anything. I actually wanted to talk about some of my favorite UFO cases. There was, I mentioned Betty and Barney Hill because that's one of the more famous ones. And then Travis Walton, he wrote a book called The Walton Experience, which was turned into a film in 1993 called Fire in the Sky. Now, up till recently, the only thing I knew about his story is what I saw in Fire in the Sky. I never read the book, never seen interviews with him, I think I saw an Unsolved Mysteries episode years and years ago where they interviewed the actual people involved. But I wasn't really paying attention. No, I think it might have been Paranormal Witness. I don't remember. I saw one thing about it, other than the movie. And it was either Unsolved Mysteries or Paranormal Witness. One of those. But anyway, it wasn't until recently when I heard the full story on a podcast called Anxious and Afraid, which I've mentioned before. They were the inspiration for my Titanic episode. And hey, what do you know? They've inspired another episode. It was episode 44. Let's do a quick pulley. And it was about the abduction of Travis Walton. They told the full story, and it turns out Travis Walton doesn't like the movie because they completely changed his story. What's in the movie is not what actually happened. The aliens that actually abducted him, he says, were very friendly and helpful, and they just seemed curious. And what it sounds like is they abducted him on accident. He just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it sounds like they accidentally injured him because they didn't realize he was there, and they kept him for 5 days. And based on everything that it sounded like his experience and what they were doing to him, that they were healing. They did a alien surgery, and he stayed for 5 days while he recovered, and then they dropped him off. The movie turned them into scary monsters that were not very friendly, and they tortured him. So that was my experience with the movie. But then I hear the actual story, and I'm like, why did they do that? They need to make another movie, because honestly, the real version sounds a lot more interesting than what they put in the movie. Granted, I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but I remember enough. It's one of them that stuck with me because it was terrifying, and it didn't need to be, because it was a good story, not a scary story. And from what I understand, I think all of the people involved are still alive. So let me see. I don't think I don't think he has his own Wikipedia. Hey Google, is Travis Walton still alive?
He came back from a search.
Oh, he does. Why does he not? Okay, he has a Wikipedia page, but it's not linked on the Fire in the Sky website. Oh, no he doesn't. Travis Walton is a basketball player. That is not. Hey Google. It's Travis Walton still alive?
Found this on the web.
Okay, it's not gonna tell me. Is the Fire in the Sky Travis Walton still alive?
He came back from a search.
Okay, I don't care. I assume he's still alive. I think that would have been big news. Well, not like super big news, but they probably would have mentioned it in the podcast episode. But yeah, like, they need to make another movie until there's the real version, because I want to hear that version. Another movie they need to make is, hey Google, are they making a Betty and Barney Hill movie?
He came back from a search.
They made a TV movie, I knew that. I think yep, it has James L. Jones, I knew that. I haven't seen it, but I want to see it. The UFO Incident Wikipedia. That is a book. Okay. Yeah, Betty, look at the Wikipedia page. They need to make another one. I haven't seen the James Earl Jones one, but that was a long time ago, and they should probably make another one. Let's see, let's go down to the bottom. Okay, the most recent thing is the 9th episode of the 2019 History Channel television series Project Blue Book, entitled Abduction, is based on the Betty and Barney Hill UFO incident. I'm not seeing... Oh, wait. 2018. The story forms the basis of the Diner Party virtual reality exhibit at the Traveling Arts Show. Oh, I need to see that. If it's VR, then I don't have anything to play VR. I'm not seeing any... Oh, of course it was the inspiration for an X-Files episode. Again, Anxious and Afraid did an episode about Betty and Barney Hill. Episode 24. Sorry if there's aliens. Alien abduction of Barney and Betty Hill. So, as you can tell, it's a very good podcast. I highly recommend it. It's already inspired 2 episodes. And 2 of their episodes inspired this one. Actually, there's more. There are more. They tell the full story of Betty and Barney Hill, again, which I hadn't heard the full story. They're really good at telling full stories of stories I'd heard of before, but never. Right, so there are a lot of people say, well, if UFOs are real, why haven't they been seen throughout history? The truth is, they actually have been seen throughout history. In fact, I'm convinced, and there's a theory, that they're actually mentioned in the Bible, just not the way you'd imagine, because they wouldn't know metallic objects in the sky or flying saucer or anything like that. So let me read something. This is from 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11 and 12. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that, behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up in a whirlwind into heaven. And Elijah saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes and rent them into 2 pieces. Chariot of fire. Okay, so back then, their only mode of transportation that wasn't strictly horses would have been chariots. So he would describe it as a chariot. And it would be covered in lights, and they don't know about electricity, so it would look like it was on fire. So, chariot of fire. So I don't think there would have been an actual flaming chariot. I don't know. It could have been. I don't know. God works in mysterious ways. But to me, it sounds like he was picked up by a UFO. Which brings me to another theory that I have heard. Oh, you probably hear another truck. Oh wait, this is why is the dump truck here again? Anyway, another theory I've heard, and when I first heard it, I kind of rolled my eyes But the more I think about it, the more it kind of makes sense that the aliens are actually angels. Like, if you ever heard of a description of an angel, there are different types of angels. And I'm going to read the biblical description of each of them. Alright, so the first one, this is the description of a cherub. It's 11 chapters long. Wait, no, not 11 chapters long. Several chapters long. It's Ezekiel chapter 1, verses 4 through 11. This is the description of a cherub. Now, when cherubs are described, like depicted in art, and you'll see them on like cartoons and on all sorts of media, they're the angels that you see depicted as winged babies. That is not even remotely accurate. Alright, let's do this. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, and a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and the brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire, also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and each one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot. And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass, and they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went every one straight forward. And for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man, the face of a lion. On the right side, they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, and they 4 also had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. So, definitely not a winged baby. Now, the next type of angel I want to discuss is called a seraphim. They're only mentioned once in the Bible, as far as I can tell. It's in Isaiah 6, verse 2. Above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings. With twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. So, it sounds like they had 6 wings, and I'm guessing 3 on each side. The top 2, they cover their face. The bottom 2, they cover their feet. And they flew with the middle wings. So there's no physical description of what their face or feet look like. There are other types of angels that are mentioned in Scripture, but most of them don't have any kind of descriptions. They're just kind of listed. With one little exception, they're not actually... you will not find the phrase fallen angel in the Bible. These are the angels that sided with Lucifer and were cast out from heaven. And they became the demons that we know of today. They are not really described, but I am sure that they are not aliens. Because demons and fallen angels, like I said, fallen angels are not listed. They're not named in the Bible. I did a search. They're not listed. They're called demons. And every time they're mentioned, they're trying to attack people, trick people, manipulate them, possess them. And when you think of demons in a modern world, like in paranormal, that's what they do. They're not good. They are not good. They're literally pure evil. And from the alien stories I've seen, the abductions and stuff like that, like with the Travis Walton story, they're not evil. In fact, if anything, they seem curious. And throughout my whole life, I've read and seen a whole bunch of abduction stories, and they don't really seem malicious. They are If anything, they're curious. That's just what I take from that. And if the aliens were demons, it probably wouldn't be so helpful. Because, like with the Travis Holton thing, they healed him. And yeah, there would be a whole lot more scary stories than what we hear if they were actually the fallen angels. So, yeah. But yeah, when there's a common look for aliens, and the grays with the heads and the eyes and everything, and that doesn't fit the description that I gave of a cherub, and the seraphim didn't have any description. But it's that second to last category I want to talk about. There was other angels listed that didn't have descriptions, and because they didn't have descriptions, I didn't pay attention to the names. I think that if the angels are the aliens, they're in that one of those groups that weren't given a description, because then it would probably be a little bit more obvious that because everybody has the same description of aliens, and the Bible describes aliens. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that the fallen angels are not angels, and neither are the cherubs and the seraphims. I do want to kind of briefly mention something. That Michael the Archangel is often described as like a warrior type angel, and something I never really thought about before. Just thought I'd point that out. Now I want to talk about some UFO sightings. One of the most famous ones, and I was going to say recent history, but I'm getting old. I think I was in 97. Phoenix Lights. That was 23 years ago? 24? I don't know, it was a long time ago. Back in the 90s. 20 something at this point. I feel old. Anyway, obviously I wasn't personally there. I'll say obviously. Nobody here knows where I was in 97. I think it was 97. Hey Google. Hey Google. When was the Phoenix Lights?
Found this on the web.
Would you start telling me things? She used to tell me things. Now she's just like, here, you look for it yourself. Anyway, 97 was, what day was it? Doesn't give a date. It just says lights of varying descriptions were seen by thousands of people between 7 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. Doesn't give a date. Where's the date? Hey, wait, let me try Bing. When was the Phoenix Lights? March?
The Phoenix Lights were on March 13, 1997.
Thank you, Bing. That was right, 97. Anyway, so all most people know about the Phoenix Lights is the famous footage of the lights hanging over the city. But actually, it should really be called like the Arizona, New Mexico lights, I think, or Nevada, because it actually covered a very large area, and like thousands of people saw it across 2 or 3 different states. I think they're only called the Phoenix Lights because that famous footage was taken over Phoenix. I've seen a documentary on it, so I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, oh man, I don't like how like the government and the military, they try to hide the fact that aliens exist, or that UFOs exist, because they're like, oh, those were jet fighters that hovered in formation across 3 states, because that's a thing that happens. I don't know. But like somebody took the video and like did like the high contrast or low contrast or whatever they do that clears it up, and it's a solid object. It's not each light is a different plane. It's that each light is connected to a larger craft. So yeah, I don't know what their thoughts are on that. You know, the next one is Stephenville. Hey Bing. It doesn't have. Does Bing have a thing like that? Let's see. Search settings. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't do voice. I can't say anything like that. I have. Wait. It's voice. Let's see. What does it say with voice for? Read results out loud with voice search only. So I can't say "Hey Bing" or anything. I had to actually tap the microphone. When was the Stephenville, Texas sighting?
An event nowadays known as Stephenville sightings took place on the 8th of November and to this day fascinates thousands of people. Walking through an otherwise unnoticeable city, you are likely to encounter a group of tourists inquiring from locals the details about the incident that made the city known nationwide.
But what year? Let's see. Let me tap the article. 2008. There we go. Okay, I was in Texas at the time. That's where I lived in 2008. For most of my life, actually. And I knew one person that saw the Stephenville lights. She saw it, and she was like visiting family, and she saw it, and she actually lived where I lived in Abilene. And yeah, I don't remember too much about it. It was a huge deal. It was a huge deal where I was from, because yeah. And of course, I had a friend that, you know, she came back from visiting her family, like, you will not believe it, I saw it. I'm like, you saw it, and but then like it quickly kind of faded from memory until UFO Hunters did an episode on History Channel, and then it like brought it back in the spotlight. And I don't remember the details, but they interviewed people, and my friend wasn't one of it. That would have been cool though. Like they had I remember watching the episode. They had set up in like a building somewhere and like put out an ad in the city saying, "Hey, if you saw those lights and you want to be interviewed for the show, come to this location." And yeah, like my friend totally could have gone and done an interview, but she didn't. That would have been cool. But anyway, then I could be like, my friend was on TV. I don't remember too much details about it, but I remember it was a big deal. And then was quickly forgotten about, because Texas, I don't know. But I want to talk about my experience that I had. And I mentioned that I saw a couple of UFOs. The one that I took a picture of, I'll start with that one. Like I said, I'm from Abilene, Texas, and I lived across the highway. At the time that this happened, I lived across the highway from the airport. And on the other side of town, there was an Air Force base, Digressor Air Force Base. So I'm well aware what planes and helicopters look like. So when I've had people online, when I post the pictures, they're like, "Oh, that's clearly a helicopter. You don't know what a helicopter looks like. You don't know what a plane looks like." Yeah, I do. Everybody that lives there knows what those things look like, because we see them all the time. It's like every 10 minutes there's a plane flying over, or a helicopter or something. This was neither. I was walking to a friend's house, and I noticed there was like a metallic object that's hovering in the sky, and I was watching it for like 2 or 3 blocks. It was not moving. There were no blinking lights, it made no sound, and it seemed to be lighting itself. There were no lights. I didn't see any lights on this thing, but it was illuminated still somehow. And after walking a couple blocks, I still saw it. I took up my phone. At the time, I didn't have a smartphone. I had this crappy little BlackBerry wannabe thing. I think that was the phone I had. I had some cheap, crappy phone. Might have been a flip phone. I don't remember. But no, I was able to zoom in. I took a picture of it not zoomed in, and then I took a picture of it zoomed in. And in the zoomed in one, you can kind of see clearly what it is, or you can see the details more on the zoomed in one. If I had my current phone, it would have been better. But this was in like 2011 or 12 or 13 or something. And then when I got to my friend's house, I showed him, and he was like, "Wow, that was weird." He didn't know it, so that's whenever I posted it, and I didn't post it right then. I sent it to a couple of my friends that were in the Air Force, and then like a week later they came back to me and they were like, "Yeah, we sent it to some of our Air Force buddies, and like we don't know what this thing is, so you might have actually captured a UFO." So that was kind of exciting. And there's another one that I saw. I didn't take any pictures. I didn't have time to take a picture. I was at my aunt's house, and there was she had some trees in the backyard, and I was looking up, and like through the tree, like in between the tree, I looked up. My cousin was like, "It's UFO," and I like, "Yeah, right." I looked up and I saw like a ring of lights, kind of rotating. And I was like, "Huh, that's weird." And then it shot straight up. I was like, "Oh, wow!" It was like literally 3 seconds. I barely had time to register what it was, and then it zoomed straight up out of sight, and that was crazy. And then there's been other instances that I think I might have seen one. I mentioned in my ghost stories, personal ghost stories, in the first episode. I talked about the at Lake Fort Phantom Hill. There was something following the car. I don't know what it was. It could have been a UFO. It could have been a ghost. Could have been a bird. I don't know. It kept like changing shape. Because like, I don't know. I was like 3 or 4 at the time. So like I didn't understand the world or anything. So it literally could have been anything. But I remember it vividly, which is weird. And I was supposed to be in my seat belt, and I wasn't. I was looking back at the back of the car. This thing was following us. It wasn't light. There was no lights on it. But like it was the middle of the night. No lights on it, but I could see the shape of it, and it was like following us and changing shape. I don't know what it was. But yeah, and there was other times I think I've see I just mentioned the first 2 that I mentioned where I took a picture and then at my aunt's house. Those are things. No, I definitely saw a UFO. But then there was like the time at Lake Fort Phantom where I don't know what it was. It was an unidentified object, so it was a UO. But then there's other times like I'm not even sure. There was other times where I think I might have seen something, but I wasn't sure. I don't know. Especially living out in the country, there were so many times I saw stuff. And we had a trampoline, and for like most of the time we lived out in the country, we didn't have a light. We had eventually on the power pole, because we had a power pole next to the house where we had the electricity connected. And eventually, like the last couple of years that we lived out there, we put a light on there, like a street light, so that we had, we didn't have to have the porch line on all the time. And yeah, but before then, I would lay on the trampoline at night to stare at the sky, and yeah, you could see everything. It was great. Then we put that stupid light out there, and I couldn't see anything. And I'm pretty sure I saw a few things out there. There was a lot of times where like I'd be kind of zoning out, looking at the sky, and then I'd see, like, it wouldn't register that I saw something, but I'm like, did something just happen? But by the time I zone back in, it's gone. So like I don't know. I experienced a lot of weird things. A lot of it I can't explain. But like the first 2 that I mentioned, for sure, things that happened. I want to discuss a lesser known thing. It's called a USO, and I think it might actually explain UFOs in a sense, kind of. Like I said, like I'm not entirely sold on aliens being from billions of light years away. I don't know. They could be. They might not be. I don't know. I don't know what they are. I just know that they're a thing. And a USO is an unidentified submerged object. And that's basically UFOs underwater. And there's a lot of reports of those, especially like UFOs that they go down into the water. And, a normal craft, like a plane or a helicopter, or if they hit the water, that's it. The USO, once the UFO hits the water and becomes a USO, it just keeps going. And then there's been reports of, like, it comes back up a few miles down. It's like they're trying to hide. Like they're trying to escape they're being chased by a pilot. Like, and so they, like, go into the water, and then they come back out a few miles later. And, yeah, like, I think USOs might explain UFOs, because we don't understand the oceans entirely. We know more about space than we know about the oceans. And it's possible that there's, like, an Atlantis-style civilization down there somewhere. And that's where the aliens are hiding out. Or maybe they're interdimensional. I don't know. Like, I don't have, like, a solid theory on what I think they are or aren't. Like, even with them being aliens, like, I'm not saying, oh yeah, they're definitely aliens. It's a theory. I like the theory. It's a really cool theory. But it's a theory. I'm not gonna sit here and say that, I'm right, you're wrong, because I don't even know. What's funny is I've actually seen, I know a lot of Christians that don't like the idea that aliens exist, because as I've heard atheists say, the existence of aliens disproves the existence of God. Not exactly as I discussed earlier in the episode. That's not entirely the case. Like, it's possible that you can have both, because the aliens are possibly angels. I don't know. And I don't even have a theory on all of that. Like, maybe there was, like, I don't know. I don't even want to speculate, because I don't even have a full theory on, like, that. That's about all I have for the Aliens in Area 51 episode. So, before I end this, I want to have a slight announcement. I have a very special guest coming on for next week's episode. I actually, if you follow me on Twitter, I tagged her in a post the other day. She and I actually hung out on Monday. We were going to do an episode when we were hanging out in person, but we were distracted. We'll probably talk about that in the episode, but we ended up not doing the episode, and we're just going to do it over Zoom. So I'm really excited about that. We actually have a topic picked out. It's actually because it's her, and, like, what her speciality is, what she studied in college. She just graduated college, and the thing she studied is the thing we're going to talk about. It's something I haven't really heard about before, and I asked around, and not a whole lot of people had heard of it. And, like, hearing her talk about it, she is so passionate. I can hear it in her voice. Like, she's passionate about it. I was like, hey, let's do an episode about it so more people can hear about it. So she was like, when I asked her, she was, like, really excited, and I was like, yay! So we're gonna plan it to record sometime next week. We're going to, like I said, we're going to Zoom call. We both have to be free, obviously, to do that. And so that's going to be next week sometime. Hopefully, she is very busy right now. She just graduated. When she was in college, she barely had time to talk. She was always busy. And now we're talking more now that she's out, but she's also in the process of moving to a different state. So, yeah, she's still busy. So we still have to find time, but she did say that hopefully we'll have time. She'll have time sometime next week. So look forward to that. I know I do. Other things, I really like the idea that of the mini-sodes, because like last week I didn't have an episode planned. I was like, oh, it was like I realized it's been a week since I'd done my episode, my health episode, and I was like, oh crap, I don't have an episode planned. I'm watching Rocky. Okay, I'll do an episode. I'll do a mini-sode on Rocky. Yeah, spur of the moment. And I kind of almost went like that this time because I didn't have I have a list of podcast ideas, and I knew I wanted to do one of those. Half of them I can't do right now because my hotspot isn't quite working right, and I have to stream things. I still have because I've done Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1, and I still have 2 more phases to do, but I have to watch them first before I do an episode on them. And I can't because I can't watch Disney Plus right now. And then some of the other ones require streaming too, because there's other things I want to do that involves things similar to that. And I have to stream them, and I can't because my hotspot. I mean, I could watch them on my phone, on the Disney Plus and HBO Max apps, but I don't want to watch them on my phone, you know? I want to watch them on my TV. I mean, I could buy them on Blu-ray, but the 3 individual phases of the MCU, they're like $80 each. If I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna wait for the Infinity Saga box set and just buy all of them. Which I don't know if that's been announced yet. I haven't looked, but I'm not gonna pre-order it. I'm not gonna like buy it when it comes out. Depends on how much it is. It's probably gonna be really expensive, because if each phase is individually like $80, it's probably gonna be like maybe 200 something. Probably, I don't know. But then there were several other topics, and I took a screenshot, sent it to a friend. I'm like, okay, here's the topics. I don't know what to do. And she was like, what about aliens? And so I was like, hey, actually, that's kind of a good idea. I actually been thinking about that because of the Anxious and Afraid episodes. The one about Betty and Barney Hill was episode 24, and I listened to that a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I should do an episode on this. And that's when I added Aliens Area 51 to the list. And then I'm still not caught up on Anxious and Afraid. Let's see. I'm on episode 46, and there are 66 episodes, so I still got a ways to go. But yeah, I listened to those 2 episodes, and I was like, I really want to do this episode, but I don't know. I kind of wanted to save it for October and just do a bunch of scary themed episodes. But my friend was like, "What not that?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? Actually, I totally could do that one right now." Yeah, like I said, like technically, like aliens, UFOs is not a scary subject. Because it's scary because it's unknown, but it's not like the aliens seem to be friendly. Like if they were going to attack us and kill us Independence Day style, or the Twilight Zone episode To Serve Man, then I'm pretty sure we would know by now. If they're as, like I said, I don't think they're from billions and billions of light years away. And if they have the technology to cover that distance, why would they come to Earth and not do anything? Especially after all this time. There's been reports of aliens going back centuries. There's been reports of UFOs for centuries. Why would they travel all that way and not do anything? So if they wanted to kill us, they would have done it already. And they abduct people and then release them. And then there's cases where people have like those little metal objects, the little implants in their arms or whatever, or in their legs, and then they have them surgically removed, and like it reacts to things. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know what those are. what they're used for, but they don't seem to be harmful. Like, not just that, but like the uh, the aliens in general. Like, if you know, whatever. What's interesting about those little implants they put in is, say you get shot and like get like a bullet shot in your arm. It's a foreign object. Your body's going to reject it, and it's going to get infected, and it's going to cause some problems. But these little objects that are found in people's arms, that doesn't happen. It's like the body accepts it, and there's like tissue formed around it. Like the body's like, okay, you're part of the rest of us. It, it I I don't understand it. I'm not a doctor, so I can't say, oh, the cause of that is blah 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 blah. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna end the episode here. Um, Again, I might do a minisode before the next episode, because there is some. I was kind of wanting to do another minisode, but like I don't want to do two in a row. So, so I might do one at some point, but the next full episode will be with a friend of mine, and we're going to talk about something. I don't want to say anything. I don't say what it is yet. You'll find out when it gets here. Anyway, I'm going to end this here.